It's a Wednesday, and talking about the big interview today, I'm excited because if we want our country to be better, we can't have it without the local government. And so we had to pull the head of local government into the seat to get to know more about him. Now, I read a bit about him, and I want you to know a bit about him before he even tells us more. Now, he is a full professor of financial economics at the University of Ghana Business School. He holds a PhD in applied economics finance from the University of Antwerp, Belgium. Professor Mensah is known for his expertise in financial modeling and macroeconomic forecasting, and has consulted for various international organizations, including the UNDP and also Bank of Ghana. He's also the executive director of the African Center for Development Finance. Yes, this man is the head of local governance right here in Ghana, and his name is Professor Lord Mensah. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Rosalind.
How are you?
Very well.
And I also read that you are a doctor of philosophy.
No.
No.
Yeah, okay, PhD is a doctor of philosophy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so doctor of philosophy.
That's a terminal degree.
Hey, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So what haven't you done in terms of education?
Oh, yes, so I'm at the peak now. And I've been at the peak, of course. When I got this local government appointment, I said, why not? You need to divert.
Yeah.
And people may think local government sits, elsewhere, and then academia also sits, somewhere else. I think they are intertwined, and there are several things that we share in common. As a lecturer, you meet students every now and then. Every year, new set comes. Every year, new sets are going out. And I've been in the lecturing field, I think, since the age of 26 years. And I'm looking at about 16 years and over. And so when it comes to experience with people and how to deal with people, I have that experience. And so I decided to take up the job. And trust me, for the past 21 days, it's been well.
It's been well.
It's been well, yes.
That's good.
Well. And I'm looking at the local government structure as a system. And being a system, of course, you require an input and then an output. A bit of my background, I started with science. So I look at things scientifically.
Okay.
And not just, looking at it scientifically, living it there, but then how it comes to a realization. Very, very important, for human consumption. And so I look at the local government structure as a system where you're looking at people coming in and then people going out in terms of retirement and all those. But whilst they are in there, you need to manage them when it comes to their transfers, their postings, their upgrade from one rank to the other.
Are we to expect a reset there?
Oh, yes, of course. The reset has started already. Just the 21 days. I've realized that I've done a lot within the 21 days.
Oh, nice.
I can say one thing that I'm happy with is to how to solve an absenteeism problem. And, when you talk about local government, we have cousins, we have relatives out there. They give you feedback and tell you that, they don't go to work and all those. So I said, how do I solve this problem? So I called my chief director, and we categorized the solutions into 3 different. We look at the short term, tap into the low-hanging fruits, and then look at the the medium to long term, what we can do. So in the short term, what I have realized is that there is a code of conduct of the local government services, which you see words like professionalism, integrity, timeliness, you can name them, innovation and all those. I realized that, when we went to class 1, they put words on placards for you, and then at that age, those words sticks with you and try to shape in your life. So instead of leaving it in the text or imprint, and someone will just read it and leave it, why won't we go by the same model where all the empty spaces within the headquarters, we'll name them by the various words that we can find in the code of conduct. And so when you come to the headquarters now, you will see a floor named, timeliness floor.
Okay.
you're going to see a conference room named Integrity Conference Room. And then innovation and all those words that, you know, represent, what should I say, dignity. And so that is what I have started with as one of the low-hanging fruit to shaping the minds of those that I'm working with. And we started from the headquarters because, you know, there's a number pra infinitum.
That's true.
Infinitum.
So the headquarters are started.
The headquarters are
so
started.
Those in the branches should be where?
So we're going to replicate that.
Okay.
You know, across.
So now you have to be at work at what time?
You have to be at work by 8:30,
8:30, all right.
And then close at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
You are being paid for 8 hours of work. So that is what you must stand for. And myself, I come early. I was trained in Germany and then Belgium. So when it comes to time, punctuality, I mean, you can count on Germans.
So we are not going to see the whole, I work in the government sector, I can take the day off. I work in the government sector.
We have officers that are supposed to be in person. And then sometimes we have officers that go to the field.
Okay.
But then in the long term, we're going to solve those problems of being absent and recording yourself as present.
So what's going to happen if...
Another thing what I've done is that as part of the low-hanging fruits, I've tasked all the heads of department through my chief director to ensure that Mondays, early morning, they hold a meeting, departmental meeting, to discuss whatever they're going to do from Monday to Friday. And then Friday, they revise and they review the things they have done throughout the week. They should do that by Friday, 3 o'clock, because Friday, you know, everybody wants to go home. So at least we can get minimum of 38 hours of work from our workforce, because the work itself is heavy on human resource management. And, you know, I'm approaching it, you know, from the scientific perspective. Now, in the long term, what we intend to do is to put up systems that can give us real-time information as to how people are coming to work during the day and then at the end of the day.
And their attitude, right?
Yes, the attitude at workplace. For attitude, there's a measurability that is in place as we speak now, which has to do with appraisals at the end of the year. As part of my reforms, I want to make the appraisals more or less continuous. So we are adopting digital, approach, where you can have, kind of a video that you can watch on our website, and then thereon you go and do your test to represent, whether your appreciation of the norms and the things we do at the local service is spot on. So that is what we're looking at in the long term to professionalize, the local government services. I shared my vision with them, and I've categorized my vision into 4 different, points. The first one is to professionalize the local government services. That is looking at the first 1 year to do that. The second one is data-driven decision-making, where every decision must be supported by data. And many a times in Ghana, when you talk about data, we think it's numerical data, just 1, 2, 3, and all those. But no, we're looking at evidence. So if you want me to do A, B, and C, why should I do it? Just back it with what? Information. And I will execute it for you. Okay, so nice. That is one thing. If you want to post somebody, what are the parameters you are using to post the person? How long has it been at a particular place? And then also, how long would it take the person to go on pension? If the person is just 1 year to go on pension, and you move the person.
Why post the person? Before
he settles, it's time to go. Unless extremely the person is misbehaving. Then in that case, you can take a decision to move him. And especially when life is at stake, you may have to move the person. So these are the things that we're doing. And then the third vision is how to, and all this vision dovetails into, the decentralization agenda that the country is pursuing, to ensure that at least every district assembly can be self-dependent politically, can be self-dependent, administratively, can be self-dependent financially. And then also how to engage the private sector. So one of my vision is local government, private sector engagement.
That's nice.
And, over there we are looking at how we can review the PPP, document that we have at the national level. And we want to, break it down and localize it, because every locality has its own strength. I mean, you cannot, give them all kind of expectations in terms of, what they can generate. So we are trying to break it down as part of the next project that I'm going to. So local government, we are on course, and I would say
very good.
The reset agenda is on.
Is on. How has the response been, though?
Yeah, so far so good, and I can tell you that they have the professionals, and I always say it's the leadership. I mean, if you have good leadership that can push them, with my experience over the past 21 days. Everything you give them, they're able to,
that's good.
give you a response.
So they're not fighting you?
No. It depends on your approach. And I'm looking at, like I said earlier, it's a system I'm managing. And a system has agents in them. And so when you have a system that is not functioning up to expectations, you may have to look at the configuration of the system, and then also look at the agent. But my first approach, which has always been the case, is to look at the configuration of the system, which I'm doing it now.
That's nice. And so in the next, hopefully you stay on for a long time, we'll see a lot of changes.
Yes, hopefully. And I know, in terms of measurability, I know where I'm starting from, and by the time I end, I can compare.
Okay.
To know where I started from and where I've been able to.
I know when you got this appointment, a question has popped up, not once, not twice, not thrice, but many times. Are you NDC?
Not necessarily, but then also you came to your office through a particular government. And so, of course, I'm a Ghanaian, and you expect me to, be aligned to a particular party. So it is expected that, once you have the same ideology, the same thinking, obviously you may have to align.
Okay, so now you are aligned.
Yes, of course.
So you owe the NDC one if you are aligned then? Well,
with the position I occupy, it's a non-political position. But of course, once the ideologies of the NDC aligns with yours as an academic, obviously you may have to go in line.
Now, I think people were saying that we are losing so many of our, our people in the academic field into politics now. Are you going to, go back into teaching, or are you going to combine it, or we should see you more into this space than into the teaching as you are doing?
Yeah, well, it depends on how heavy the job is as we speak now. Where my paycheck is coming from needs to determine my concentration.
I like that.
but in order not to lose the academic flair, what I intend to do is to take up one course that I'll be teaching. But then also you need to know the dynamics. I think President John Mahama has realized something. Anytime you want to interview, expert, you bring in academia, you bring in, professors, you bring in doctors. And over the years, in a form of discourse, they've been able to, give back to society that, look, this is how things are supposed to be done rightly. So if a government has come and, the agenda is to reset a country, for things to be done right, I don't think there's anything wrong, poaching, the expert that can help in resetting the country from academia.
Nice. Professor Lord Mensah, tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you?
Well, I'm an Achim man by 200%.
Okay. It was in Kakra.
Oh, yes. So I grew up from Achim Takorasi, and I attended Takorasi LA JSS, primary school all the way to, and then I went to Mfanspem from there on, straight from the village to Mfanspem. It's now a town anyway. They don't want me to label it as a village. So
it used to be a village when you were growing up?
Yeah, the population wasn't more than 5,000, and per the categorizations, I would say yes at the time. But there wasn't even light at the time. We got light in 1992. So
when you were growing up, you grew up in an area that there was no light?
Yes. So from there on, I moved to Mfanspem, and my first time seeing fluorescent tube was in Mfanspem.
Wow.
And then from there on, we finished in Mfanspem about 3 years. And then I think the university was on strike at the time. And then I was, the SSS third batch, And for you to have access to the university at the time, you have to write entrance exams. And so we wrote entrance exams, and then, we qualified to
So this is SSS third batch,
95.
95, right.
So we went into, the university. Going into the university, I mean, as a science student who did physics, chemistry, mathematics.
But I want to find out from you. You grew up in a town that had no light. How were you studying?
Well, you make use of the daylight. You make use of the daylight because when the sun sets, there will be no light. And so during the day, if you don't go to farm, then you have to find yourself a classroom to study. And I got motivated by teachers around me at the time, And I always, speak about the kind of private schools that our kids attend. They don't employ the professional teachers. When you go there, for you to get trained teachers, I mean, sometimes it's difficult. You have about a teacher population and only maybe 20% will be trained teachers. Our time, teachers were motivated to come to the villages. And I can tell you, some of my teachers who finished Winneba, finished Cape Coast, and they were posted to my village. My science teachers were coming from those universities, and they were very good. In fact, they gave us very good foundation. Of course, I mean, if you are not motivated, you are not motivated.
Did you have classrooms?
We had classrooms.
Okay.
I mean, my place is more or less a mining area.
Okay.
So the community, we had, very good classrooms at the time. I mean, for now, some of them are, have broken, and I was asking myself, okay, we need to rebuild some of these things. But I can tell you that, I mean, it has been a transition that has been so good. It has given me a lot of experience. But after KNUST, I think KNUST, going into KNUST as a science student, physics, chemistry, mathematics, the ultimate was to do, engineering.
Okay.
And at the time, they were admitting 2-year groups, 95 and 96, because the lecturers had been on strike for 2 years.
Okay.
And so there were backlogs of, university entry students. A-levels were not writing entrance exams. By SSS, you had to, write entrance exams. So we did that, and we joined the A-level, and chaps. So in my class, for instance, we were about 105. The SS guys were about 14. The rest are all,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, O-level, A-level, chaps. So my target was to do engineering, but then I didn't get selection for engineering. So they gave me mathematics. And then I was wondering myself, so how do I do mathematics? And one of my uncles says, as for mathematics, when you go and do it, you become a teacher in the class. So in the family, nobody has been a teacher before. So to be a mathematics teacher, I mean, it's a prestige. I'm good to go with it. But then there was another, mines inspector, Mr. Chumesi. I think he ended up in Accra before he went on retirement. He called me in the village and he said, young man, I've been told you've got the mathematics. Don't listen to your uncle. I mean, go and do it. Because my mate who did it, and did it very well, are the ones at Bank of Ghana. At that time, Ghana Post was functional, Because, I mean, applications of mathematics entails a lot.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you about systems that I'm managing, At the, at the final year of the university, we did what we called systems. I mean, dynamic systems.
Okay.
And trust me, it builds up into so many things. And from there on, when I was getting to the final year at the university, I was specializing in mathematical economics, optimization, solving problems that, there are scarce resources that goes with them. And so after the university, then I got, admission with scholarship to go to Germany to go and study financial mathematics again.
Okay.
So that is when my interest started, moving into, the maths and financial issues and all those. Then, after my financial mathematics, moved into applied economics. But then in between, I got married, That is after my master's, I got married. I met my wife in England. We have 3, kids now.
Oh, wow.
First 2 girls. And
then, is she Ghanaian?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I mean,
the way you said you met her.
I love fufu and akpele, so I wouldn't have compromised. I have friends who, remained there and they got married. We went there at a very tender age when we were 22, 23 years, thereabout. And so those were vibrant and all those,
So what about her made you chase her?
Oh, well, I mean, I met her in England. I didn't know her before. I mean, in the Northampton streets. And I mean, once you meet someone and it's the chemistry, then all those, balls up, clearly it shows. But then the first touch was, I mean, being a homey person, because somebody who grew up in the village, you always want someone who can replicate your grandmother's behavior.
So your wife is a very good cook, huh?
Yes, she is. She's a very good one. Very
good. So that made you decide that she's the one.
Yeah, beyond that, I mean, there are so many. When you meet someone, a person can help you in life. Within 2 months, you shouldn't struggle to realize that. Yes, you shouldn't.
So you married her within 2 months?
No, within 3 months.
You married your wife within 3 months of meeting her?
Within 3 months, yes.
Wow.
In 3 months.
You're a sharpshooter.
Oh, yes. I mean, I was ready, actually. Someone who always plans, I can tell you the next, 5 years where I'll be and all those.
So tell me.
For those ones, I'll reserve it for my own consumption.
You say it. Yes. You can say it.
Oh, no.
Are you going to go into full-time politics?
Well, let's see the dynamics, how things go. Yeah.
In 2020, probably 2027, thereabouts, the NDC will definitely have to select a new flag bearer.
Yeah.
If they come to you that you should run that race, would you?
I'm a Ghanaian. If I can have the resources, why not?
What resources do you need?
Of course, you know what it goes. In politics, you need to invest a lot. To move around the country and be convincing people that you are the person to be voted for, it won't be that easy. Yeah. You need a human resource, you need a capital, and so many things to do that.
So when it comes, you won't turn it down, though?
Oh, why not? I won't turn it down.
Okay. If the NPP also comes to power and they ask to work with you, will you accept to work with them? Like
I said, I'm a Ghanaian. Any government that comes and sees, okay, this is your expertise, we need it, why not? Yes.
That's nice. So now local government is going to see a new look altogether, right?
Yes, a new look. Myself sitting up there is a new look. Then, coming to work, being on a spot at any point in time in itself is a change.
All right. So apart from that, what are you going to do different? Apart from these structures that you've put in place, what are you going to do different from what the SWAL government did? Yeah,
so somebody was asking me, financial economists, why do you end up at the local government? I've mentioned the pillars of, decentralization. We have the political decentralization, administrative decentralization, fiscal decentralization, and then the PPP decentralization. Now, you realize that we've been doing quite well when it comes to the political and then the administrative decentralization. What is missing as we speak now, see, being at the local government, I collect data. So I tell my budget officer, please give me this data. What is the total revenue relative to, the total expenditure of a particular assembly? Run it across all the 261 assemblies. And then, let me have it. We did that and we saw that on the average, a district or an MMDA, it's raising about 5% of the total expenditure. And I'm looking at how I can leverage on the private sector to increase that to, let's say, 15%. And one thing I've realized is that as a district, if you're able to produce consistent cash flows, right, over a certain number of years, build up history of consistent cash flows, you're going to, more or less attract funding. Because every bank or every financial institution that wants to approach any entity or a person may want to see how you've been able to generate cash over the years. So you can easily do that and raise money to build projects, right? Instead of, struggling, and sometimes you have to wait for central government funds. Sometimes you have to wait for a donor partner to come and put up structures for you. It's another ball game altogether. And then another thing we are looking at is a service, right, which is heavy on human resource management. We also put up systems. So standardization is very, very important. Yesterday I met, the engineers in the local government services, the executives, and I gave them a scenario that every single compromise, right, in their activities can kill 1,000 people, 1,000 people at a time. So they should be careful in terms of their, decision making and how they go about things. So I started talking about standardization. I said, instead of you to wait for the building to become a structure that you can, go and take your property rate. Because if you're taking a property rate from a structure and it turns up that you go there the next day and the structure is no more, where are you going to get your property rate?
Yeah.
So ensure standardization. So very soon we're going to engage the private sector. So for instance, if you talk about block molding, entities within a particular district assembly, the engineers and the planners will come and then engage you as to the standardization of the blocks. Because if the blocks are not good, you don't have very good, building. So we started from there. We captured them from the beginning until we build on it, and then we can be sure of what is out there to determine, cash flows of the assembly. So there are so many things to do. In fact, when it comes to private sector engagement, for instance, another one example which, as part of my vision, I've been sharing with them is the food vendors and all those. I mean, we need to make sure that there are standardizations when it comes to what they can deliver, customer service and all those. One thing I've realized is that most of the time you see the assembly going to the food vendors, the private sector, but the assembly does not give anything to the private sector. Where you get your food, right, you always have to make sure that,
it's secured.
It's secured, right? So what I intend to do is that as part of the private sector engagement, we'll be giving education to food vendors, we'll be giving, education to Abuboya, riders and all those. So it's something that I'm sharing across. So far...
So Abuboya is going to get education?
Yeah, they're going to get education, how they relate to people, we're going to give them, T-shirts, and then put their numbers behind the T-shirt. Yes, their phone numbers behind the T-shirt and all those to ensure that, you can identify them as part of the service.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a national policy. As part of the decentralization, it will be happening at the district level. But my job as, local government head is to ensure that the assemblies have the human resource capacity to execute this at that level.
Well, I'm more excited about this Abuboya thing. You have no idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And the trotro drivers.
Yes. We're going to do that. Yes,
train them, right?
And sometimes
train the trotro drivers.
I give an example, and when I'm talking to my coordinators, they start laughing. I say, the trotro driver, you're a conductor. Those days you said a conductor, right? That is the mate.
The mate.
So you have to make sure that you are in a good uniform, you are smelling good. Sometimes you go into a trotro.
Hallelujah.
The mate raises his hands, and then you have to run away and all this. So these are things that we're going to look at, and we have to make sure that we do that at in the decentralized form to ensure that the private sector benefits, and then the assemblies will also benefit. So we're looking at mutual benefit engagement.
Step in the right direction. If this succeeds, trust me, you'll be named as the best head of local government we've ever had in Ghana.
Oh, yes. We're going to do that. We'll build the human resource capacity.
Yes.
In fact, as part of their performance appraisals, we're going to put in, one of the scorecards as your private sector engagement. What have you achieved with it at the assembly level? Because we have to appraise them, to determine their performance. So at that level, if you are not doing well, we may place more weight on the private sector engagement. If you get less weight, it affects your performance. And when it affects your performance, it will also affect the funding that you attract from donor partners, from central government and all those.
Right.
Yeah, so, they will sit up.
They will sit up. You did mention financial recklessness is something that, you will not condone at all.
Of course, coming from a finance background, we need to make sure that we block all the loopholes and then,
so no ghost names and all of that, no fake contracts?
Yes, so those are the things we have to make sure that there are systems in place, but we have to make sure that, we activate the things that are required in the systems to avoid, the ghost names and all those. Because I don't understand why, for instance, I would just take your certificate and give you a job. You may be the person giving me the certificate, but you are not the right person. Okay, so on that score, when you give me the certificate, I give you the job, you may, give the certificate, the job offer to somebody. Or maybe go and sit somewhere, and then you'll be attracting, salary whilst you are not working. So we need to avoid all these things. Like I said, we're trying to put up human resource management systems that will give us real-time data, and that should be able to solve all these problems.
Right. And you also said naming and shaming. You name and shame.
Well, I've not said that at the local government services. But I said that some time ago when we were going through, the banking crisis and all those. And then I said, those who engages bank and those who manages banks and they messed up and all those, we should put them out there and then put some restrictions on them when it comes to...
Will you use the same strategy here?
Yeah, possibly we may have to do that.
If somebody...
When we put up the systems and then somebody tries to bypass the system.
Your name will be out there with your picture and all of that.
And I like it. I mean, you're trying to spearhead what is good.
Yeah.
And for that matter, if your name is out there on it, I mean, it should be part of it.
Okay, that's a nice way. So somebody was also asking me if, what you're going to do for the trotro drivers and the aboboyas, the taxi drivers are going to be a part of it.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we gain from them. We go to them, I mean, their union and all those, pay something to the assembly. But what have we been giving to them to ensure that their business flourishes, to ensure that they stay in business? I mean, we've not been doing it, and that's the only way to go about it. Well, you see, for mutual benefit and consistency, make sure they are in business, and then assembly also gains from them.
We are all going to be gaining very, very soon. What about the police? What are you doing for them?
Well, the police, I think, as part of the decentralization, I don't know whether police will still be centralized. But if it turns out to be, I've not checked in the document whether security will be decentralized or not. But if it turns out to be decentralized, then obviously we may have to, find a way to, train them as well.
To train them.
As far as customer service, because they are serving us.
That is why I asked.
Yes.
Because I had an experience with one police lady last week, and so I realized that as it stands now, they might need it. They might need a kind of training.
Yeah, how to relate to people.
How to relate to people. Because sometimes they are doing the right thing, but how they relate comes off wrong.
And how to even communicate it.
How to communicate it.
Yes.
So it comes, so we are hoping that they will fall under it.
Sure.
And then, you use your expertise to also train them in there. That's nice. So are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Oh, where do you fellowship?
I'm a Presbyterian.
A Presbyterian?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you do hymns, eh?
Yes.
What's your favorite hymn?
521.
Which one is a 521?
Spare me on that.
No, I mean, what's the song there?
So
Oh, so it's in tree?
Yes, it's in tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you like local songs? Eh?
Yes, I like the local songs. I mean, looking at my background, obviously, you should expect that.
Okay. Yeah. So who's your favorite secular musician, though?
Musicians, I'm a principled person.
Okay.
And I don't want to throw out something that will fuel up debate. But looking at what is on the ground, secular, I look at her life, I'm looking at Daddy Lumba.
Okay.
When it comes to the young ones, Shatta Wale is my favorite.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Is he your friend?
He's not my friend.
You had to meet him?
Oh, yeah, but I like his lines of, music. And he seemed to understand, ordinary man's, language. And that is what makes me like him.
You were not too happy when the road tolls were cancelled. And now that you're head of local government, what voice are you putting in there to see that it comes back?
Well, I wasn't happy, and obviously, if I get any platform, I will make sure that it comes back, but in a refined form. I mean, these days, there are so many electronic ways of going about tolling, and I believe that if we adapt that, we should be able to avoid the things that made us take off, the road tolls, and then we'll get the right things in place.
I like that. Thank you so much, Lord Mensah, for being here. This is my first time
on your show.
Your first time on our show, and we've enjoyed you so much.
Media, I'm a friend.
Yes, but first time here, we've enjoyed you.